Hey, this is Tom Kahn with the Power Ninjas. So I'm really excited because this will be the first episode in a new series that we're starting called Power Together. The purpose of Power Together is to bring people in from the Power Apps community to showcase some cool things that they've done. So we'll be speaking with a range of users, all the way from business users who have created solutions using low code to experts who are doing some pretty groundbreaking things using Power Apps. Our first guest will be someone who I've worked with personally on some projects in the past, Derrikk Broughton. Derrikk is kind of a Power Apps wizard, and he'll be showing us his solution to creating repeating tables in Power Apps. All right, so today we have Derrikk Broughton on the line. Derrick's going to be showing us a solution for repeating tables, which I think is great because it's very timely, considering that InfoPath has been announced that it will no longer be in support in 2026. Microsoft is completely going to remove it from people's tenants. So there's a lot of companies out there who maybe have some solutions built in InfoPath that they have said that maybe they're running some pretty important solutions for their businesses, maybe even mission critical, but won't be supported as when 2026 comes around. So if there was ever a time to take advantage of all the capabilities of Power Apps, now would be the time. So one very frequently used feature of InfoPath was repeating tables. Now, Power Apps, they didn't develop anything in place for repeating tables. I don't know why. It's probably the way the data's saved. I've always said, like, when you go to the conferences and people make an announcement, it might be like the most minor announcement ever, and the crowd goes crazy. If they announce something for in-place support for repeating tables, I think that the roof would just blow off. So I'm excited to see what you have for us today. So Derrikk, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then dive into the app?
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate that intro. So welcome everybody. My name is Derrikk Broughton. I'm a consultant for the Power Platform. A little bit of background on myself. I've been working in the Power Platform for about 8 years now, so pretty much from its beginning. I used to work in industry at a small business here in Boise, Idaho, and as my development skills kind of grew in the Power Platform over that time, I was able to get a consulting job from that process. So it's been quite a journey over the last 8 years, Tom.
Yeah, cool. So Derrikk and I have worked together, just so you all know. He's kind of been a mentor to me in some ways in getting started in some of the advanced features of Power Apps. So he showed me some pretty cool things along the way that has helped me grow. So I'm pretty excited to get him in front of you guys today for him to show you some things that he's done.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think today what I was hoping to show you guys is just the solution that I've come up with for repeating tables. As Tom said, it's a very common feature that's used in InfoPath forms, and not only InfoPath forms, in web design in general. If we're making a form of some kind, a repeating table is a common feature there. So it's a very important piece, especially for building some of these mission critical applications, as Tom had said. So what we've done today is we've built kind of a demo application for you. Is the best way I can describe it for us is I've named this demo application the Power Ninjas Retail Store. You know, if once Tom decides that he's ready, he's going to actually start selling all of his merch with this amazing logo tagged on it. So it'll be pretty amazing for us.
Thanks for
But
doing the work for me, Derrikk.
setting you up, giving you the pieces and parts you need. So basically, essentially, what this screen is in this application is a POS system. You're creating a new sales order from one of your clients, from one of your individuals that are there at any point. So we just need to capture all the items that are being sold to that client, whether it be sweatshirts, t-shirts, whatever it might be. We just need to capture that information and then save it to a data source. The data source in question here that we've decided to use is SharePoint. Very common data source that I'm sure a lot of you leverage in your application, so that you'll be able to see that happen here today. So for an application, it's pretty straightforward. We have a table here that you can't really see. It has been formatted appropriately right now, but as you add a new item, a new line appears. You can then select your product. So let's add some t-shirts. I want to add a quantity there of, let's say somebody's really excited and they really want to buy 20 of these Power Ninja t-shirts. There we go. And
I'm
so,
not I'm not selling them for $9, Derrikk.
hey, it's good margins. Look at that, 77% margin. What are you talking
Okay.
about? But what we have here is you can input then how many you want. If there's a sales price stored on the back end in the data set of 8.99, just the standard sale price. But if for whatever reason you wanted to change this, you would have that ability to make those changes. So Tom, if you wanted to boost this to 59.99, just to really, let them know how high quality these are, they're there for you. And then you can see that information flows through as well. Margins, total sales price, and it's all additive. But the piece that we have now with the repeating table is I need another object the exact same as that one. but just with a different product. So I can click add again, and now let's do a coffee mug. They want 2 coffee mugs. They want a hoodie. They want, whatever products are in your data set, a hydro flask. That's a good one, right? 25 hydro flasks. Those are important, especially out here in these hot summer days. So here, now we have our totals. So they're buying 4 items from us through this repeating table. We have all our total values. All you need to do from there, complete order, and it saves that order for you. So now if we jump over to the actual data source, you can take a peek. You can see, hey, sales order number 2, our total value for that sales order, and when it was created. Just for the sake of for time, we only did a couple columns here for you to save, but any metadata that you needed to save into this, you could save here. Then the secondary table that is on this is the list of all of those items. So you can see here that it was created. We have our ID values, the date it was created, the sales order it was tied to, which is important, right? We need to relate these items to that specific sales order we had just done. All the information about those products, the sales, the cost price, margin, all of that information is also stored here. So all of that information being stored directly into SharePoint. So a pretty exciting application, Tom.
Yeah, that's great. So I like the idea that you did about relating the tables together, because when you have repeating data like that, that's probably why they didn't develop this in place to Power Apps, because you can't store rows and rows of data all within one entry, within one row in a database. So I like what you've done to sort of make it related by using the patch function, I assume, to tie those tables together.
Yeah, exactly what it was. Just a patch statement, and then just relating those 2 objects together with a process. So we can kind of dive into that code so you guys can take a quick peek as well.
Yep, let's do it.
So if we come back here into the editor, you can see our screen here. And at its core, we'll kind of start with the base functionality. We'll start with what controls I'm using to accomplish this. So the first control that's important is, as you can see here on my tabs, I am a big fan of containers. I use containers a lot. I think that they're much better than groups, obviously. I have a little bit of a front end web development background, so I think of a container as like a div, if you're familiar with that. So just a container that holds all my little pieces together for that specific section. But I leverage a gallery to be my repeating table. So this is just an object that is it's going to add records over and over and just fill this gallery up to however many I need it to fill. So that's the main control function that is here. So
That's
here
awesome. And I know we didn't build into this demo, but taking this to the next step would be taking an existing item and editing these existing item. So by using a gallery, what you can do is you can populate a collection into the gallery from the item that you're referencing.
Exactly. So all of that gallery is referencing, like you said, is just a collection. So I can update that collection however I see fit, and then I can repatch that into the data source as I make updates in the future. So in this case, we used a retail store for sales orders, but maybe I needed to edit that sales order. Maybe there was a mistake. Maybe a return needed to happen. Maybe processes needed to occur. I needed to update that information. I could leverage that using the same technology that we built here. So let's hold here and we'll add a record just so you can kind of see the object. So here we have a combo box that's just leveraging a list of products that I've created here. We have a label that's just pulling some information from that product, as well as the sales quantity, sales orders as well. So not very many controls needed to accomplish this. So once again, we can add those records. We can add a 1 here. Not a smiley face, just a 1. There we go. So from here, once you have an item in this list, you can then complete out that order. So if we go, of course, it actually saved that record. Let's pull up a different one. I was holding down control. That was my fault. There we go. So here
That's
is.
A cool tip. You can hold down control and actually press a button.
There you go. So here we have the actual function that is written to accomplish our data. So first step is I'm setting a variable of our new sales order, the new sales order that I am creating in this moment when I click that button. So I patch to our sales order table. Defaults referring, if you're familiar with the patch statement, to hey, defaults meaning I want to create a new record. I don't want to look up a current record. I want to create a new one. And then from here, the only information that I'm saving and only metadata that I'm saving here is just the sales total, just so I can, if I needed to run analytics on all of my sales orders, average sales total, things like that, I could have that. So what is accomplished by using a set here, creating a variable of this patch statement, is I can then access the information about that object that I have created. A very important piece for us here, because that is what allows me to relate each of those items to that sales order. So uh, the next step here is a for all loop. For all loop means I just want to iterate over, I want to go one by one over every item in my gallery. So for all of my items in my gallery, I want to do a function. I want to complete a function. So that function is going to be, I want to patch a new item to our order lines table. And our information we're patching in there is the schema of data here, that all of the schema of our list. So the sales order number, right? This is that reference ID, right? And you can see that I'm referencing that variable .id that I had just created one step prior. That, like I said, that is a very important part for us here. Next being the product name, product category, quantity, each of those pieces and parts from our actual record inside of the table. Then I just reset those values with the clear of my collection and updating the form to set them back to blank. So it's a pretty straightforward process, not too crazy to accomplish just on your own.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there's a couple follow-up questions I have. I'm just kind of thinking through while you're going through this, if there's another way we could accomplish this. I think your way's cleaner. But if we were to do maybe a comma separated, I guess if we concatenated the items and saved it all into maybe a multiple lines of text field, and then split it out later on if when you return it, if that could you could also accomplish it that way.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So if you saved it as just a text string and it's delimited by whether it be a comma, a vertical bar, semicolon, whatever those items are, you could then use the split function to split that out and create your table as you call that data in. So you could essentially keep them all in the same table. You wouldn't need to reference a secondary table if
I
that
was
was a
wondering
route that
about
you.
that. I think your way is a little bit cleaner though when it all comes down to it. So
Yeah. So
that could be another way to accomplish it. If anyone watches this video too, if anyone has any thoughts on the advantages of pros and cons of each, feel free to reach out. So I'm also kind of thinking the next step is if people have an existing SharePoint list where they're using InfoPath but they need to convert. I haven't really done any research into this yet, but taking that data and then populating it into a database and migrating that data. I'm kind of curious if anyone out there, maybe even you, Derrikk, might off the top of your head have an idea, because I think the data is saved kind of in a strange format. But if anyone has any ideas, I think it would help the community if we thought that process through as well.
yeah, I think that's important. I'm myself am not too familiar with the backend data, how it's stored there from
Yeah.
InfoPath form. If it is like you said in the same table or if it's a secondary reference table, I'm not sure. But we could migrate that data and map it appropriately with an ETL of some kind.
Absolutely. But either way, it's awesome to see that there is an option to use repeating tables in Power Apps, thanks to what you've showed today. If anyone's interested in seeing maybe the next step, maybe walking through the whole process where we go ahead and build out a dashboard and then you select an item, it builds a collection and then populates the gallery that you see here, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be glad to help out and look forward to hearing feedback from y'all.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate your time today, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
No, I appreciate you for joining. Appreciate it. Thank you, Derrikk.
Yeah, thanks.